I still remember the exact moment everything changed. Thanksgiving dinner, a crowded table, the smell of turkey filling the house, and then she grabbed my son, hard, right in front of everyone. That was the moment she made the biggest mistake of her life. But before I tell you what happened next, you need to understand something. My name is Emily Carter, and that boy, that's my son, Liam. He's 8, quiet kid, sweetheart, the kind of boy who apologizes even when he did nothing wrong. And that's exactly why what happened that night still makes my blood boil, because some people think kindness means weakness. They were wrong, very wrong. And my sister-in-law, Rebecca, was about to learn that the hard way. But let me start a little earlier. That Thanksgiving was supposed to be peaceful. My husband Daniel and I drove 3 hours to his parents' house in Ohio. Typical big family gathering. Too much food, too many opinions, too much forced smiling. You know the kind. The house was packed. Daniel's mom running around in the kitchen. His dad watching football too loudly. Kids everywhere. And, of course, Rebecca, Daniel's older sister. If you've ever met someone who smiles at you, but somehow still manages to make you feel small, that's Rebecca. Everything about her was perfect. Perfect hair, perfect clothes, perfect little comments that sounded polite, but weren't. And for some reason, she never liked me. I tried for years. Really, I did. I helped with dinners, bought thoughtful gifts, showed up to every family event. But Rebecca always had something to say. Emily, you're dressing Liam too casually. Or, you let him eat that much sugar. Or, my favorite, some mothers just don't set enough discipline. She always said it with a smile, but everyone at the table knew exactly who she meant. I usually ignored it, for Daniel's sake, for family peace. But that day, something was different, and I noticed it almost immediately. Liam was quieter than usual. Normally, he'd be playing with his cousins, laughing, running around. But instead, he stayed close to me, holding my sleeve, looking nervous. I knelt beside him. "Hey, buddy," I whispered. "You okay?" He nodded, but kids don't lie very well. Something was bothering him. I just didn't know what yet. Dinner started about an hour later. The table was huge. Turkey in the center, mashed potatoes, stuffing, pumpkin pie waiting in the kitchen, everyone talking at once, forks clinking, football playing in the background, and for a moment, everything felt normal. Then Rebecca started talking. "Liam," she said suddenly, her voice sharp. The whole table went quiet. My son looked up slowly. Yes, Rebecca leaned forward, and that smile appeared again. The fake one. "You took one of Oliver's toys earlier." Oliver was her son. Liam blinked. "No, I didn't." Rebecca's eyes narrowed. "Oh, really?" Her tone changed. The room felt colder. "Oliver said you took his new action figure." Liam shook his head quickly. "I didn't." My stomach tightened. I looked at Daniel. He frowned. Something about Rebecca's tone didn't feel right. Maybe he just misplaced it. Daniel said calmly, but Rebecca ignored him. Instead, she stood up, slowly. Then she walked around the table, straight toward Liam. The room went silent, and before I could react, she grabbed my son by the arm. Hard. Lying is not acceptable in this family. Liam winced. His chair scraped the floor. My heart stopped. I pushed my chair back instantly. "Rebecca," I said, my voice shaking, "let go of him." But she didn't. Instead, she squeezed tighter. And that's when Liam whispered something so quiet. Only I heard it. 3 words. 3 words that made my stomach drop. Because suddenly, this wasn't about a toy anymore. And in that moment, I realized something much worse was happening in that house. Something Rebecca never expected me to discover. And what I did next left the entire table in shock. Liam's fingers tightened around my sleeve. His voice was barely a whisper, but I heard it, clear, soft, scared. She pushed me. For a second, I froze. My heart skipped. Did I hear that right? I leaned closer. Who pushed you? I asked quietly. Liam's eyes slowly lifted, and he looked straight at Rebecca. The room went silent. You could hear forks touching plates, football in the background, someone coughing, but no one spoke. Rebecca laughed nervously. "Oh, please," she said quickly. "Kids say anything when they're caught." But something inside me snapped, because Liam wasn't looking guilty. He looked terrified. And I know my son. He never lies. Not about something like this. I stood up slowly. My chair slid back across the floor. "Rebecca," I said calmly, but my voice had changed. That soft patience I usually used with her, gone. "Take your hand off my son." For a moment, she didn't move, her grip still tight around Liam's arm. Then she slowly let go, but the damage was already done. Liam rubbed his arm, and I saw it, a red mark forming, right where she grabbed him. My chest tightened. Daniel saw it too. His jaw clenched. "Rebecca," he said quietly, "what exactly happened?" She rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on. Don't be dramatic." Then she pointed at Liam. He took Oliver's toy. Oliver told me himself. Oliver was sitting across the table, 7 years old, small, nervous. I looked at him gently. "Oliver," I said softly, "Sweetheart, did Liam take your toy?" The boy hesitated. Rebecca immediately cut in. "Oliver already told me." "Rebecca," Daniel said sharply. His voice surprised everyone, even me. "Let him answer." The room went still again. Oliver looked at his mom, then at Liam, then down at his plate. And that's when everything changed, because Oliver whispered something no one expected. "No." Rebecca blinked. "What?" Oliver swallowed. Liam didn't take it. Now, the room really went silent. Rebecca's face went stiff. "Oliver," she said carefully, "remember what you told me upstairs." The boy shifted in his chair, his voice shaking now. I said, "I couldn't find it." I felt my pulse in my ears. Rebecca forced a laugh. Well, clearly someone moved it. But Oliver spoke again. And this time, his voice was louder. "You pushed Liam." The entire table froze. Rebecca's smile disappeared. "What are you talking about?" she snapped. Oliver looked like he wanted to cry. "You pushed him in the hallway." My stomach dropped. "Because you thought he took my toy?" Now people were staring. Daniel's father muted the TV. Even Daniel's mom stepped out of the kitchen. Rebecca's face turned pale. "That is not what happened." But Oliver shook his head. "You said he was lying." Liam slowly lifted his sleeve. There it was again. That red mark, clear, impossible to ignore. And suddenly, Rebecca wasn't the confident woman in control anymore. She looked cornered. Daniel stood up, slowly, his voice calm, too calm. "Rebecca." She didn't answer. "Did you put your hands on my son?" A long pause filled the room. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Rebecca looked around the table, waiting for someone to defend her. But no one did. Not her parents, not her husband, no one. And finally, She said the worst possible thing. Well, maybe if he learned some discipline. Daniel slammed his hand on the table. The sound echoed through the room. Enough. I had never heard him sound like that. Ever. Don't you ever touch my child again. Rebecca opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Daniel turned to me. Emily, he said softly, get Liam. I nodded, my hands shaking slightly as I picked him up. He wrapped his arms around my neck, still quiet, still shaken. As we walked toward the door, Rebecca suddenly spoke, her voice desperate now. You're really leaving? Over this? Daniel stopped, turned slowly, and said something that shut down the entire room. This wasn't about a toy. He looked straight at her. You humiliated a child, and you thought no one would call you out. Rebecca had no answer, none, and as we walked out of that house, something strange happened. Daniel's father stood up, then his mother, then even Rebecca's husband. One by one, they followed us, leaving Rebecca alone at the Thanksgiving table. And later that night, we discovered something that made the whole situation even worse, because it turns out that toy Oliver lost, it had been sitting in his backpack the entire time, which means one thing. Rebecca didn't just accuse my son. She hurt him over nothing. And that night, her perfect image in the family was gone forever.